Hi everyone and welcome to the All Things ITSM Global Podcast. We're coming to you from FUSION15 in New Orleans. I'm Kirsty McGowan, I'm here with Carlos Casanova.
Hello, Kirsty.
Greg Sanker. And we're going to have a chat with Mark Smalley from the ASL-BSL Foundation.
Yep, my pleasure.
How are you, Mark?
Yeah, doing well. Thank you. Yeah.
So, Mark, I heard rumor that you've seen the future and you bring us good news. Talk to me about that.
I'm a bearer of good tidings.
A bearer of good tidings.
That's good, we like good tidings.
Yeah,
I like bears.
on three counts. Yeah, been three good tidings. Now, I had the pleasure. You're probably aware of the fact that Fusion organised a competition for students. Mm-hmm. They presented their case and the awards were presented today. And I had the pleasure of conducting a workshop for them yesterday from 10 until 3. 12 students. And I am so encouraged by the conversations, by the dialogues we had. So, you know, our future is in their hands, and I have good news. It's in good hands.
It's in good hands.
Yeah.
That's good
No,
to know.
really intelligent conversation. I challenged them with 3 topics. I called the workshop Digital Diversions. I like thinking up...
That's good. You could brand that.
Cryptic kind of names.
Yeah. And
we tackled digital relationships, so the relationships that people have with devices and their apps. Mm-hmm. And they started talking about apps as if it were their husband or wife, or they had extramarital apps and BFF apps and stuff like that, so different kind of relationships. Yeah. We also talked about the digital enterprise, fascinating topic. And the final topic, and I really like this discussion, I challenged them on the topic of digital ethics. And I took the example of self-driving cars, autonomous vehicles, with the dilemma that you have when you've got autonomous cars. You've got to program the software to drive the stuff. And the scenario is you're driving down a road with concrete walls on both sides, and suddenly pedestrians appear on the road. Too late to brake. You know, we're talking worst case scenario.
Yeah. Right.
It's too late to brake, so you've got the choice. Either the car careers down into injuring the pedestrians, or it takes a left or a right into the wall, possibly killing the driver and the occupants. The question to the students was, what is the right thing for the car to do?
And how'd they do?
And who should take that decision? Is that a decision that the manufacturer should take? Or should it be a sort of a menu on the car in which the driver selects pedestrians or wall? And that, you know, but this is non-trivial stuff.
No,
sure.
Right.
And
not trivial
as artificial intelligence is being much more sort of invading our life, more pervasive in everything we do, we are going to be faced, they as the future are going to be faced with tackling these decisions. Yeah. And we had such intelligent conversations about this topic. Right. We are safe. Our future is in good hands.
So as digital natives, though, they have a different interaction with, digital media, the online world. People, time, space, distances are all different. Their entire perception of reality is very different than what I grew up with, what you grew up with. So how do they see those kind of decisions?
We only had the opportunity to touch on that topic fairly briefly, but the answers they gave corresponded with some academic research, which I gather wasn't with the younger generation, but the broad population. Right. Yeah. Similar kind of answers. In general, they opted for choices for the greater good. Right. So utilitarianism, instead of killing 10 people, you choose to kill what it sounds a bit hard, but that was the general principle. Right. And that they favour that particularly if they are not the driver.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
See, why is that? Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just looking at it like I don't have a driver's license, but I do walk a lot. So I could see how they would definitely favor, driver into the wall rather than killing the pedestrian. I could see that. But along those same lines, I remember, early in my career, I was working for a military contracting company, and we did a lot of real-time live image processing. And we were taking some of those technologies and applying them to medical and whatnot. And it was funny, some of the engineers that I worked with had a real ethical dilemma. And think of how strange it is. Real-time live image processing for the military, guidance, that sort of stuff. and then for medical. And they weren't sure that they wanted to apply it on the medical side because they might miss something when it was their mother or their sister.
Right.
Right.
At the same time, the tolerance
Yeah.
in the previous thing, that's
Wow.
okay, 50 feet, 100 feet,
Close
that's okay. So same exact technology, same exact concept, but the application of it
Yep.
then caused them to pause ethically because we might miss, a spot on a lung or something that doesn't get detected. And it was just like this, it was just a really strange, especially as a young person into engineering, kind of seeing those ethical kind of questions being posed.
You could take this to a high level, sort of more general level, and talk about IT people focusing, fortunately, more and more on the outcomes of their decisions instead of the output. You've got you produce something, but what's the outcome that's going to generate? We talked about I just mentioned the digital relationships. What kind of relationship do we as consumers have with apps, the apps that we use?
Right.
The bank is an app. The bank is not a building, the bank is an
Yeah,
app.
it is
an
an
app,
app.
right.
You have a relationship with the...
Yeah. I don't remember the last time I went into the bank.
Yeah,
And you're usually upset when you have to. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've got to go to the
well,
bank.
it's interesting. You have various kind of relationships with various kind of apps, but when you realize that people have, the consumers who are using the software, engaging with with the enterprise that you in an IT department are working for, you sort of realize you're not just talking about functionality in a very technical sense, but you're talking about emotions,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the relationship people have. And if you suddenly change the app that they're very fond of, they're upset.
Yeah.
They don't like it. So, and do we take enough into consideration the emotional effects that our actions are having on the end consumer?
And traditional development, I would say, generally does not.
Yeah.
So that kind of, the whole customer experience is a facet of service. We have to design a service that creates the experience that we want the user to have. And that presumes that we know what that experience is.
So has it in a sense really changed? Has anything really changed? If we stay on the bank thing and you're saying they changed the design, the user interface and whatnot, is that anything different than 20 years ago when you went into the branch and they moved the counters and Sally, who was your favorite teller, is no longer there, she's in loans. How much of a difference has it really happened? It's digital now.
Good point. I think the change is possibly that as we're moving from the Industrial Revolution into the service economy and into the experience economy,
Yeah.
we're
Right.
more conscious of the experience that consumers have.
Right.
So we're more sensitive to these kind of changes. Possibly we'll take those factors more into consideration.
Yeah.
But of course, it's a spectrum. It's not a binary,
Sure.
old-fashioned and new
Well,
fashioned.
and I think people have options now that they may not have in the past. You go to the bank
Yeah.
and do your business. If you don't like the way they've laid it out.
You might have the credit union
Right,
and the
and
bank.
the bank,
Yeah.
right.
And that was-
That's
But-
interesting because that's turning things around.
Exactly.
Right, where the power used to be with the providers.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
now with the consumers. In
Yes.
fact, I announced this for the first time. I'm now doing it for the second time. First time to the students yesterday. When we had some kind of interaction with a retailer or a hotel, they send us an email, a customer satisfaction survey
Survey, right.
email. Right. I've thought up something new. I'm going to send them a supplier satisfaction survey email.
How was I
to
as a
ask,
customer?
How was I
Yeah.
as a customer?
Oh, I was great.
No, seriously, because in a service economy, provider and consumer are co-creating value.
Yep.
Yeah.
You as a consumer have an active role to play, and if you don't play your role as well as you could, if we're not ideal dancing partners,
Right.
you're not going to get the outcomes you want, and neither am I.
Right.
So I have high expectations from you as a service consumer.
We have a lot of expectations with Greg too, but
It's
And
generally
that might be
disappointing.
somewhere.
that's a conversation I think I had with, we had it, was it with Ivor McFarlane
Maybe.
in Auckland, where we talked about the responsibilities of you as a customer as well as the responsibilities of you as a provider. So
Yeah.
it is, as you say, it's It's a relationship where both sides have to play a
Yeah, you
part.
can't just sit there as a service
Yeah.
potato.
Right, and yeah.
To coin
Yeah.
a new concept.
But
A service
I think
potato.
I do
There's
think
a
that
good one.
the new
I feel a
generation.
blog coming on. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. I think the new generation, though, they take their role more seriously. I mean, I grew up
They
in
do.
the bank, the credit union, and the extent of my responsibility is, do I like what I'm receiving,
Yes.
as opposed to how am I contributing to this transaction? Where I
Yeah.
think the newer generation realizes that they have a role to play.
That they have to behave in an
Right.
appropriate manner to make the service work for them.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the better dancing part, the natural
Yeah.
dancing part. They got rhythm.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're in New Orleans. They got rhythm.
Yeah, they do. They do know. How
Are you
to
saying you don't?
Have you seen
Let's
me
see.
dance?
Yeah.
My head is disembodied.
Yes. Right. Well, that'll be interesting tomorrow night.
My body is just a vehicle to
Yeah, to get to-
transport my head
yeah.
around, so I can write a paper after.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for joining us. It's been a pleasure, as always, speaking with you. Thank you.
Yeah, great fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you.